Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of IWillAim podcast. Today, you'll learn about the art of networking. And my guest today is Joel. Joel has 35 years of corporate experience in various industries banking, aviation, IT, insurance, and education, to name a few. Before starting the Swiss Leader Group, a worldwide leadership communication and sales development group for a global corporation, his last corporate tenure was as a sales director and member of the executive board of Assurance in Switzerland. His specialty includes innovative, multicultural, multilingual, mixed skill teams in virtual environment. In addition, to build his own business and career and investing his time pro bono in development of others. He's appointed National Transportation Coordinator of Equip Leadership. He supported several nonprofit organizations in Switzerland, UK, and Malaysia. I want to welcome Joel. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much, Will. Such a privilege to be on your podcast.
Thank you for coming today. I want to start with a shout out. Every episode, I want to do a shout out to someone that I know, I work with, or have engaged in activities in the past. For this episode, I'll dedicate this episode to Violcha Jakupi. Violcha Jakupi is a fellow member of Toastmasters. She's our past president, and she's one of our leader that has been bringing a lot of members to the organization. So I want to do a shout out to Violcha. How about you? Who do you want to shout out to?
Yeah, to me, I really would like to give a shout out to my father, who unfortunately passed 3 years ago, but who had all his life a passion for people. And just the curiosity and the joy of meeting people. So much of what I will be talking about, what is my life, is I think I got it from him.
Wow, what an inspiring shout out. Thank you. Let's start with the first question. Can you share your journey?
Well, you mentioned many of them as well, and I start to realize I'm still young apparently, so all that already. But maybe to mention just a few: career in banking and IT, and including IT in transportation, automotive, many different industries. I did an MBA training, and funnily enough, without high school and without bachelor. I did a vocational training. I worked in all this, and then I did formal training as a mature student and really enjoyed it. I was a sales director. That was my highest leadership position, which was really fun to build an organization. And I moved job. I converted my job from those sales position to a full-time leadership development and coaching career. That's where I'm now. So
Thank you for sharing your background. I think your expertise right now is much needed. So what inspired you to be a networking expert?
So firstly, because I had no choice, it was my job. When I was a sales director, I was in charge of the relationships. When is in the insurance product for real estate, I was in charge of the relationships of all real estate rental company, the whole country, in 3 languages. So I was paid. Can you imagine? I was paid to go 2 to 3 times a week to cocktail dinners, very premium one, sometimes 5-star. I was paid to do that. So that's where I learned a lot of what I'm talking about. I learned it already. I was working for Hewlett-Packard. We had executive relationship courses. So that was, but deep inside, as I mentioned about my dad, I just realized that's what I love doing. So there is a real passion. It's not a job. It's not an effort. It's something I love doing. And then at the end, that's why I'm here. I realized that not everybody gets it easily. So if I could share that and help others to network in a way that is fun, that is interesting, that is natural, then of course, let's go for it.
Well, thank you for sharing. What's the most rewarding part of being a networking expert?
It's to discover people. To discover people either directly or help others doing so. In most discussion, you like broadcasting your stuff back and forth, exchanging business cards, and that's it. But when you start to listen to people, even before you said anything, and you realize you have so much in common, but you can bring that value, you can bring value to them, it's so fun. Let me just say, some conversation brings me nothing. I can sometimes bring things to people, mentoring, advice, or whatever. So just that joy to see that connection. You see emotionally people say, it's so good speaking to you. Sometimes I hear, you are the highlight of this conference, or even meeting you was the best thing. I mean, every time I hear that, that just makes my day as well.
I think I love the fact that you mentioned about helping people. And it's also great that when you share something with someone and they learn, they tend, like you said, one of the comment that they say is you're the highlight of their experience. Could you share some of the key strategies or tips for building a strong personal or professional network,
Yeah.
especially for individuals who are starting their career?
Yeah, I think some of the strategy I would see, quite simply put, is firstly, it's not about you. It's about the other person. Now, I'm saying this because many times you're going to go to people and it's not going to work. It's not going to bring you anything. So to say, I'm in this room and I will connect to people. Connect, it's not cash something from people. It's not receive from them. It's not benefit from them. So I'm here to connect. Some of them will benefit me. Some of them will not. But the second thing that I think is important is to be specific. So if we are able to find the connection item or what we've, potentially I'm interested in so many things and putting my feet or my hands in so many things. I could discuss 20, 30 topics. What is important for that person? What is the real connection, what we have in common and what can help? So try to find a very specific connection and value added. And consistency. It's not going to always work. We don't just go to one event, talk to 5 people and say it doesn't work. We all experience this when it starts. It's about being out there, and it's amazing because you start to have. My son moved to a new community, and he's like, "Dad, you know everybody." I'm like, "Okay, I have 7,000 people in my LinkedIn, but I know a lot of people. I don't know how I know them, but I did that for so long. It actually combines all this thing that people knows, and I'm probably much better known than I know people just because I do that and do that with pleasure and with passion. So it's not about you. You need to be specific, and consistency is crucial in the strategy.
Thank you for pointing out that's not about you, because oftentimes we go into many situations and we think about what will I get out of this, right? There's the concept of what's in it for me is a prevalent, problem in the society is I'm only going to do something if there's something for me, but it's really not. Like, it's a very good point. It's about the other people too. And I think finding the commonality is great because that builds that initial common ground for both of you to have more topics to discuss. And last but not least, you mentioned about consistency. Consistency is crucial to everything we do in life. But thank you for sharing that. Next question I have for you. In your experience, how important is networking today in the digital age? Because we use all these devices and we don't meet a lot of people. And the whole online platform plays in enhancing networking opportunity.
Yes, but at some stage we have to make a choice. If I buy something on Amazon and I search for a certain object and I find it, the price is reasonable, including delivery charge, do I have a relationship with the vendor? I didn't even notice. I mean, I don't know about you, but you don't even know which company it is. You bought
No
this
clue.
on Amazon. You always, sometimes you receive a newsletter, thank you for your purchase. Who are those guys? We have no relationship in that cases. However, if I want to buy a course or I want to buy a mentoring, would it be online or not? Who is this guy? What is it? Especially when it's very virtual, it's not tangible data. And then, everybody wonders that, do I know this person? Do I trust? And do I like this person? Do I like their style? And this is really, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm dropping a bomb here, but we don't do business with things.
Yes.
We do business with people. People is a social skill, a social activity, and at equal performance, at equal conditions, we would do business with people we know, we trust, and we like. We're even ready to pay more for people we trust, we know, and we like. So no, it's not all equal. But I found, tools like LinkedIn, for example, are just tremendous because it's such a networking platform where we can see what people through videos, and that's a great way to discover people even online.
You mentioned that in LinkedIn, that's how we met, right?
Yes,
Your wife and I worked for the same company,
exactly.
and we connected to LinkedIn. We had a couple discussions, we had a couple quotes, and here we are today. And
Networking.
I think that's a perfect example of, like you said, taking that platform and take it to the next level, building relationship, right? That's how I got to know you. And to me, one of one of the favorite thing that I love to do in my life is to look at the best in the world and try to learn from them. And you're one of the best in networking, and hence you're here today. So I
Wow.
hope my audience are learning a lot from you. Next question: can you discuss some common challenges and misconceptions people have about networking, and how they could overcome those obstacles?
Yeah. So the first thing is I'm not a big fan of elevator pitch. I prefer taking the stairs. Now, maybe the pun, let me
Good for your
explain.
heart. Good for your
Oh
heart.
yeah, of course it is. Let me explain. If you come and if I meet you, Will, and ask you, or you ask me what I'm about, I'm coaching, bringing value into realizing good relationship or whatever. But all you have in your mind is what's for lunch or where are we going next to the next session of a conference is not going to stick. I'm maybe talking about solving issues that you don't perceive you have. Okay, good for you. And you tell me what you do. And we said, hey, Will, what was your name again? Will. Okay. So Will, it's a face. The rest, I forgot it already. If, however, I'm focusing on the person, and we'll talk about this later, the dialogue completely changed. So it's not about promoting yourself. And it's about connection and value added. We talk about that. We spoke about this already. People want just to feel heart-to-heart connection with people, to say, hey, Will is a nice person. I like him. I don't know why. I don't know what we can do together, but I like him. So that's usually how it starts. And, I don't know if you made that experience. The goal in the event is not to collect business cards. You know how much you have as well, how much business
Yes.
cards we have. We have boxes full of business cards. What does that bring? 99% of those contacts will never come to anything. Even, you can write to them now, and you don't know anymore who they are unless you connect with them on LinkedIn, and then it stays more like a living connection. So yeah, even online connection don't always bring much. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. I prefer having at one event 2-3 amazing connections than meeting 200 people and having their cards. So and I think you ask about overcoming them. So I'm going to repeat myself, but take interest into people. Of course, I have an end in mind, and I will talk about this later. How we can still meet the people we want to meet. I paid conference fee for that conference. I made a trip. Of course, I want to gain something, but first I take interest into people. I'm a gold digger. Often I explain this way. I'm looking for key people. I tell that to people, and maybe you're one of them. I said to people, asking very, very good questions. What is the challenge that you face in your career? Often questioning link with the topic of the event. How do you see what interests you in the conference? What have you? So I can have a bit of feel what the person is about, and where the conversation is going to be more and more specific, as we said before. And then, instead of the elevator pitch, I'm asking all those questions. You know what? I have different answers I can give. I have different pitch, and I'm only bringing the one. By the way, I'm always tailoring them. So if I'm the last one to respond because I ask question, let the other one speak, during this whole time, I can adjust. Let me just give you one example. One friend of mine, we went to see one of the most senior diplomat of Switzerland in her office. And my friend went and pitched all the projects and the partnership. I was listening to conversation the whole time. I took notes. When it was my turn to speak, I had a tailored reply to say, I see that you are passionate about this. I see that the country has to make difference. And I presented myself as a solution to the interest and the challenges that this diplomat had. It went quite well.
Wow, that's amazing. That's impressive. I think that right there, it's a nugget, right, of information that people could take away. It's interesting that you mentioned about my earlier experience of networking too is business card, and I went and collected a lot of them. And like you said, I couldn't use any of them because I was novice in networking, didn't know what to do, went and say hi and hello and get a card and move on to the next one. And then over the years I refined it. I focused on, okay, I'm only going in meeting 5 people today. I'm not meeting 100 people. And to tell you the truth, it got better because you talk about take interest in people, and I did that. Ask good question, sometimes not so good question, but I still ask question, and trying to bring the commonality, talk about commonality with one another, and I also focus on that one, and I think that helps a lot in having more things that you could talk about. And the last part that you brought up about listening in tailoring the messages you have to that person, because the one thing that people love is to talk about themselves,
Of
right? I think
course.
sometimes we lost track of, hey, I want to tell you everything I know, but sometimes the best speaker and communicator are the people who are the best listener, right? Because people then felt that they're heard and they were able to say the things that they want to say. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Totally.
The next question I had for you is a bit harder. How can an introvert individual or those who naturally are not inclined to like networking to expand their skills and their professional network? This one is a big challenge.
Yes, it is, but I think you already gave an answer, and we think so much alike. It's really fantastic. An introvert would be a better networker than an extrovert. Why? Because they ask questions and they shut up.
That's a very good point. I've never thought about that.
Because it's not about what you say; it's about the connection you make. And by the way, if you go at the conference and you have already hours of speaking, you're not looking to have another lecture, another private lecture on the topic, on an unrelated topic for you. Sorry, you already have plenty of that in any event. You're looking at just, wow, I like this person, this is the card, they are roughly about that. So being a good listener, but also the ability to read people, because you mentioned about those 5 people, these 5 people that you want to speak to, but actually, who are they and where are they? So if you have a list of participants in advance, you maybe can do your research, look at their picture. Their LinkedIn really helps because you can see how they look like,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you can try and rehearse and remember the faces. But just having the instinct to say, just watching a bit, the interaction of people who gather where. So very good introverts would generally be much better at that. And then they will go to secret. I've seen that you have great passion with people. I've seen that you always go after the fantastic dessert. You must be somebody. Are you somebody who loves good quality food? Or, just this observant, and then you connect with that. So I think that being an extrovert is actually a handicap. I want to be a bit provocative here, but it's actually almost a handicap to networking. So the challenge for introverts is simply that we can't listen the whole time. At some stage, we have to open our mouth and speak.
Yes.
And there, again, the same thing. I'm here to add value to people. If I see, I was at an event in London a few months ago, and I met some specialists of people. Suddenly, I was in front of students. And I was like, okay, they're not going to bring me business, not at this stage. But hey, I can maybe give them some few tips as a quick mentoring session, and we had a great conversation. So yeah, what do I bring at right moments? And we have to be able to be fairly flexible, but to also act. That might be the challenge with an introvert.
You opened my mind on introvert being the best networker. Like I've never thought about that. I have to be candid about that particular point. It's great because they're definitely good listener because they don't want to talk, so they would listen. But you brought up a good point that even though they don't love to talk, they should also learn to ask. Find the opportune moment to ask questions. And also, we were surprised when you said that the extrovert are the are disadvantaged in being a networker because they love to talk and they love to probably talk more. And I think that's a good point. Those are two takeaway. If you're an introvert, you have a better chance of networking. Just learn to open up. And if you're an extrovert, learn to kind of, give the other person more airtime so actually they could express their thought. So thank you for
Just to say,
opening my
Will,
mind on that one.
I'm actually, it opens my mind too, because I'm not at all an introvert. So I'm a recovering extrovert. There's also a hope for them. Shut up and listen, but you will probably be quick to just give some fun facts or some things that will make people. So I think both have equal challenges.
Yep. Thank you. So let me ask you the next question. What are your thoughts on networking etiquette, right? It's quite important to know what's the proper way of networking and finding the balance between networking for personal gain versus meaningful relationship. There's big difference in personal gain and meaningful relationship.
Yes, it depends on cultures and on type of events and so on. But in general, I would say that personal gain, trying to be extremely careful with that. Again, value added to the other person by default, connection or ask or suggestion only when appropriate and validated by that value add. And then if something naturally come up to say, hey, I have a great course or I have a great book on this topic, yeah, maybe. But we're very careful with that as such. Otherwise, we'll quickly be labeled as just being pushy or being just. So I think if we focus on the others, it can't really go wrong.
I love the point on focusing on other people and not just over indexing on just sharing what you do and telling people what you do. Because it end up to be a one-sided conversation, as I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
If there are three takeaway from today's session, because you shared so many nuggets of information, three, if you could name three that people need to remember from this session, other than you're an amazing, expert in networking, what are the three takeaways for today's session?
Yeah, I think firstly, it's not about you. You're giving value to the other person. You are there to build a connection and a value. And yeah, if clearly matched, you have amazing possible collaboration. People already understood who you are and enjoy that. And yeah, and it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Few good connections are much better than knowing hundreds of people.
Thank you for sharing those three key points. I want my audience to know and learn more about you. Can you share what are the things or project that you're working on so they could actually engage and interact with you going forward?
With pleasure. I'm working on many projects, including research, publications. So connecting with me on LinkedIn Learning is a good place to start. And I'm usually sharing what I'm working on. And under my company, Swiss Leaders Group, I'm having a blog, newsletter as well. And I'm also having a course on how to overcome challenges to reach your personal dreams that is available straight away. And you'll find the link below. And additionally, I'm preparing for this autumn a detailed course on my strategy of networking. And if you connect with me, you will hear about it when it will be coming out, and we'll be speaking at an event together, and we'll be releasing it at that time.
Thank you. I'll be on the lookout for that course too. I'm probably going to try to be the first student to take that course. Want to continue to learn and grow myself. I want to thank you, Joel, for your time today. I really appreciate you. You've been a wonderful guest for me, and I learned a lot today, and I really want to thank you for that. So thank you, Joel, for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Will. Such an honor and a privilege to be with you, and such a pleasure. Thank you.
And looking forward to collaborate you at my virtual event in October. You're one of my guest speaker on the art of networking. Thank you very much again, Joel,
Thanks.
and have a good day.